Guys, it's Reagan and today I'm here to bring you my August book haul, and this video is sponsored in part by Books Amino and Disney Hyperion. Now for the month of August, I'm actually pretty pleased with myself. I have a petite book haul. I have a decent stack of books, but nothing too crazy like I've been going these past couple months. So I feel like I exercise some, self-restraint, but I'm actually super excited about each and every book that's in this haul, so I also feel like it's small but impactful, you know what I mean? The first book I'm going to talk about was actually sent to me by Books Amino. Now, Books Amino is something that I've talked about a lot on my channel, but if you're not aware, Books Amino is a bookish community app that basically has every bookish thing you could possibly think of on it. It's basically a community app where people are putting blog posts, quizzes, polls, community chats about pretty much every popular book you can possibly think of. But the other exciting thing with Books Amino is that while they have this general books app, they also have specific aminos for each fandom. Some of my favorites are Shadowhunters, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. They're just really great places where you can go and chat with people online about bookish stuff. And actually the book I'm about to haul was one that I read a whole bunch of reviews on in the Books Amino app itself, which ultimately was one of the reasons that pushed me over the edge that made me go, crap, I really need to read this book. But yes, I will have a link to Books Amino to download down in the description bar if you're interested. But yes, now moving on to the actual book, and that is Geekarella. And oh my gosh, I feel like I've been saying this book everywhere. I do have a physical copy. It is just lost in the mail. Amazon, why are you doing this to me? Hey everyone, it's Future Reagan. Sorry to cut in here, but I wanted to quickly say Geekarella came in. Amazon did not fail me after all. I mean, they failed me a little bit, but they came through in the end. And oh my goodness, this book is even prettier than person. All right, well, back to the book haul. I wanted to haul it anyway because oh my god, this book I feel like just speaks to fandom people. This is essentially like a geeky fandom retelling of Cinderella. It follows our main character Elle, who basically lives and breathes this fictional fandom called Starfield. And she dreams of going to a cosplay Comic-Con inspired event as one of the characters from the series. However, if her stepsisters don't arrive there first and basically steal her thunder. This also has a romance element of a celebrity guy who just loves fandom stuff too and goes to Comic-Con. I'm pretty sure they meet. All in all, I've heard fantastic things about this book. It sounds incredibly adorable, and I just love how this Cinderella narrative has been transported and transplanted and redone to fit 21st century fandom culture. It's just perfect, and I can't wait to read this book. The next book I picked up is Magic Study by Marie V. Snyder. This book was so hard to find. I don't know what is going on with this series in terms of finding matching covers or just any covers, but ultimately I ended up buying this book used, so I got a pretty dang good price for it, which I'm happy about. But it's not in perfect condition, but it's fine. This, of course, is the sequel to Poison Study, a book I read a few months ago, totally adored, and I'm really excited to continue on with this entire series, which I believe is actually 6 books. And the new trilogy has the most amazing covers, and they redid the original trilogy and those covers, but only in ebook, and literally I could fight someone about it. This is a YA fantasy story following our main character Yelena, who in the first book is basically granted clemency from prison if she becomes the food taste tester for the king. She gets wrapped up in a lot of politics, there's a lot of magic uncovered, hence the sequel called Magic Study, and it ended on quite a bit of a cliffhanger, and I'm really excited to see where Yelena and the story picks up and goes forth from here. I really liked the first one, and I'm happy I finally got my hands on the second one. It was so difficult. The next 3 books are all a part of the same universe, and I'm so excited to have them. The first 2 are basically the finishing 2 books to a series that I bought the first 2 of last month, and that is The Conspiracy of Kings and the King of Toula by Meghan, Wallen, Turner. Again, this is book 3 and 4 to that quartet. I read The Thief actually this month, and I really enjoyed it, and I can just want to completely blaze through the rest of the series because I really liked the first one, and now I have the entire series in hand and I'm super excited about it. I absolutely love this cover change. These are just amazing to me, amazing. And this follows our main character, who is the best thief in all of the land. However, at the beginning of the story, he is in prison, and he basically makes a deal with the king and the king's advisor to steal an impossible item for his freedom. However, this book is just full of tales and folklore, and the characters are just so funny and interesting. interesting, and the political system's very complex, and I'm interested to see how it's gonna grow from book 2 to 3, because like I feel like at the end of the first book, we're just getting started in that world, and I'm here for it. I'm not done with books in that world, because I also have the new book Meghan Wallen Turner just released, and that is Thick as Thieves, but I believe this is an entirely like separate story to the original 4 books, set in the same world though. I'm actually hesitant to read the synopsis of this because I'm nervous about spoiling myself for the original quartet, but I'm really excited to have this new release. I'm really excited that she decided to add more books in this world, because at least from the first one, I'm really enjoying it so far. I love Meghan Wallen Turner's writing. I think it's so great, and I'm just excited to have all of the books. It's just gonna be a whole marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. The next book I have to show you guys is this bad boy. Percy Jackson coloring book, obviously inspired by the stories by Rick Riordan, but the artwork is done by Keith Robinson. As you guys know, I am like a Percy Jackson fiend fanatic. Read all of them, will always talk about them on my channel. I love Percy Jackson, and I also really love coloring books, so to say this is the perfect meeting of my two worlds is an understatement. I really love this. This looks like a really great thing just to have. Personally, I love coloring when I'm very stressed out or my anxiety is really getting to me. It kind of soothes my mind. I've always been a colorer. This has always been something of a coping mechanism I've had growing up until adulthood. I also think this is great because as a coloring book, this is actually rather educational flipping through it. I mean, obviously the illustrations are amazing, but also I also feel like it's a great way to like teach a young kid about Greek mythology, which I think is really awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to add this to my collection and, you know, get to color Percy and, you know, all of his, oh my god, I remember this in the scene of the book. It's just so good. The next books I have to show you guys are from Book Outlet. As you guys know, I have a Book Outlet page, which I'll leave linked down below. And the first book purchase was totally inspired by a book I had read by the same author this past month, and that is Unhooked by Lisa Maxwell. I recently just read The Last Magician by the same author literally last week, and I really enjoyed it, which really inspired me to pick up some of her other novels to check them out. I believe but I do believe she definitely takes a lot of new twists and turns with this. This follows our main character Gwen, who's kidnapped and basically taken to Neverland, which is full of like terrifying flesh-eating creatures, and she basically has to like escape. And it sounds really good. Again, I really like Lisa Maxwell's other books, so I'm excited to see how this goes. I hope this has pirate elements because there's a ship on the cover. I love pirates, and I feel like it's really hard to find a good pirate novel nowadays. Like, you know what I mean? The next book I found on there I was so excited to see, and that is The Darkest Magic by Morgan Rhodes. This is the second book to the prequel series of Fallen Kingdoms. They're all up there. You can kind of see them. I love this series by Morgan Rhodes. I haven't started the prequel series yet, but I'm excited to dive in, and I'm happy to have the first 2 novels to marathon. There's a girl that's present in our time, but she gets pulled back and pulled into the Fallen Kingdoms world, but actually a few thousand years, I believe, from the start of the other series, which sounds really intriguing to me. I've heard good things about this, and I'm excited to see how it goes. Again, I love Morgan Rhodes, I love this series. The next book just flat out intrigues the heck out of me, and that is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I love Neal Shusterman. I don't know how much I've talked about that on my channel, but Neal Shusterman's one of my favorite authors growing up. I've read a lot of his books, and this particular novel really spoke to me when I read the synopsis. I'm not exaggerating when I say this book sounds honestly quite impressive. This novel set in a world where humanity has essentially conquered all of the evil things or the terrible things we can think of: disease, war, and even death. So the only way that someone can die is if a scythe, a person who's trained to take a life, takes their life. And we follow 2 main characters that are apprentices to a scythe master, and we kind of follow their journey to become a master of death. I don't know, this sounds incredibly unique. I always love how Neal Shusterman deals with the concepts and the idea of death. I always really enjoy his stories, and this just sounds very interesting, so I'm super excited to have it. The last book I have to show you guys is a contemporary-ish novel, and that is The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry. This is a magical realism contemporary love story. It basically follows our main character Emily, who begins to have these dreams where she's visited by her ancestors and her grandmother in the night, and they basically tell her that she needs to save the boy that she loves which, how does she do that? These are apparently dreams, but I believe the world is kind of cracked open from there and the story begins. I've heard really interesting things about this novel. I've heard some mixed reviews and some really, really excited reviews. So I'm interested to see where I fall in that spectrum, but I'm very excited to have this, and yeah. Alrighty guys, that is my August book haul. Let me know down below some books you've acquired recently that you're excited about. I'm happy this one was smaller because I feel like September is just gonna be entirely out of control. Can we talk about the new releases coming out in September? Because oh my god. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye!